What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with another Seattle Mariners video. We have our second trade of the offseason. The Mariners have sent starting third baseman Eugenio Suarez to the Arizona Diamondbacks in exchange for catcher Seby Zavala and reliever Carlos Vargas. I am going to break it all down. Before I do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. Just two free, easy ways to help support my channel. I appreciate everybody that has done so. And before I dive any further, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you all have a truly amazing day with friends, family, loved ones, whoever you are spending it with. Enjoy the holiday. I hope it is a blessed holiday for you. Enjoy the food and the football. And thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit before your turkey day. So have a great day, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you. So here's my beef with this trade. I don't like this trade. In a vacuum, I feel like I say in a vacuum every single video I make. In a vacuum, I do not like this trade. Now, I do think there's things this team can do with it to make it where you go, okay, I see what they're doing, like, and shedding some money, maybe trying to add some other pieces down the road. But again, this is not a team that has done that in the past with adding other pieces and spending money in free agency. So why should we believe now that that's something that they're going to do? Um, it is a move that I think should probably be more judged at the end of the offseason to see what the plan is. There are certainly ways this move could be a plus. It gives them about, I think, $9 million to spend more. So that they could certainly make it, that they could do something with that money, and we could look back and go, yeah, that was smart to shed the contract and add some free agents. But, do we have faith that this team is going to do that? I think they're going to do something. I don't think this is the only moves they're going to make, but I'd be lying if I was truly thinking they're going to go out now and do a ton of other stuff. I think they're going to make more moves, but it's still frustrating. And in a vacuum, this is just a trade I don't like. It's not that I think Eugenio Suarez is a superstar or anything like that. I think he's a really good defensive third baseman. I think he is a pretty obvious candidate to decline. We saw his bat take a step back last year, especially in T-Mobile Park. The slugging took a step back. The power wasn't quite there. He did have a lot of fly balls I thought died at the warning track. But if we were to go back through every player in baseball that had that happen, a lot of guys could be candidates to have their slugging and power improve. Bottom line is it did take a step back for Gino last year. The problem is, though, is that third base is not easy position to fill. There's not a lot of great third basemen out there on the market. In fact, free agent wise, what do you have? Matt Chapman, Jamer Candelario, neither are better than Gino. If you think Gino was frustrating to watch, Matt Chapman will be just as frustrating to watch. I'm not saying they're signing Matt Chapman, but yeah, he's not. In fact, he's worse bat than Gino was last year. So, and Candelario his bat might be all right, but defensively he's not going to be as good as Gino. If the Mariners had a third baseman on deck, like there was a prospect, let's say a young Kyle Seager, for an example, someone like that was waiting in the minor leagues, then yeah, I'm a little bit more like, hey, you can save $9 million. I think it's about $9 million for trading Gino Suarez, not Geno Smith. And you get a couple pieces back, and then you've got someone, a prospect coming up that can take the reins and play third base every day, but they really don't. You've got Ryan Bliss, but he's not really a third baseman. You did acquire Luis Urias, and right now he is your starting third baseman. But the reason I liked the Urias trade was that I liked him as a platoon partner with Rojas, as a right-handed bat against lefties that can sort of, and play around the infield and spell guys and give guys breaks and that versatility. If the move was made to then trade Gino and make Urias your starting third baseman, then I definitely don't like this move. I still like the Urias trade. I think he's a decent player that's a good bounce back candidate that is going to help this team. I like the Luis Urias trade. And right now on the current roster, he is your best bet to be your everyday third baseman. But it's just, it doesn't make the team is worse, right? Like the team got worse today. Now, listen, I think there's going to be more moves. There has to be, right? Like there absolutely has to be. Trust me, for everybody that wants me to bash the front office, if this is all they do, I will rip them to shreds and demand firings. I'm not going to demand firings right now because I think this is a precursor to more moves that are going to happen. I think they are really trying to cut back on the strikeouts. and they're trying to kind of get a new vibe going with the offense. I think they're trying to get more contact hitters and hitters that play maybe a little bit more to T-Mobile Park. Now, I've been an advocate of that too, cutting back on the strikeouts, getting more contact guys in there. But that doesn't mean that I think you should just trade away all the strikeout guys, especially good third baseman, right? Like that's a position where I can live with Gino's bat not necessarily being the best in the league as long as he runs into the occasional home run and continues to play Gold Glove defense. And like I said, you just don't have a prospect waiting in the wings or a lot of good free agent options. Like you have Urias, and listen, I can live with Luis Urias at third if their goal is they're going to sign Shohei Ohtani, trade for Juan Soto. There'll be reasons to break those moves down too. But I'm just talking like in general, fine. They trade for Pete Alonso, they trade for Soto, and they go sign Ohtani. Then yeah, I can live with Luis Urias being your third baseman. But all we have right now is the roster as it is, right? And right now, this roster is worse than it was last year. Again, they're going to make more moves, but for anybody that's frustrated with ownership in the front office, right? Like you're still going to be that. This is not building confidence for you. And yeah, they saved $9 million and that could be valuable, but we've seen this team do that. And then it's just more money in the bank for them. You know what I mean? Like, do we trust that John Stanton and company are going to spend that money? Maybe they do. Maybe they do. That would be great. If that's the case and they did this trade to save up to go make some big splashes, then okay. And that's why I think this trade kind of needs to get an incomplete grade because I think there needs to be more to it. If this is it and that's all they do, then this trade's an F, right? Like, because you're trading an everyday third baseman for a team that is hoping to take that next step forward and contend, and you traded one of your better everyday players. That doesn't mean Gino doesn't have holes in his game and that you can't upgrade there, but there's just not a lot of upgrades available at their. I'm okay with moving on from someone like Teoscar Hernandez because I think you can upgrade right field, right? I think you can get better there, or at least get someone maybe it's a little bit better. Maybe they kind of end up producing the same, but they're a little bit better in contact hitting situations and getting runners in certain situations than Teo was. It is going to be hard to get more production out of third base than you did from Gino. And maybe they have something up their sleeve. Maybe they do, but we don't know that until it happens, right? So right now, it just kind of is what it is. And the return, and I get it. Gino's not a superstar player. He's past 30. Like, you're not going to get a ton from him. But Seby Zavala is a backup catcher. He's a really good defensive catcher. And that has value, pitch framing and all that stuff. So that's fine. Zavala has some value for that, for his defense, but he can't hit. He's a 600 OPS type guy. And it also makes me concerned that they're moving on from Tom Murphy. And that Murphy now that just may be a case of Murphy's going to get a starting job somewhere and some team wants him to be their starter. I can't necessarily blame the Mariners for that or blame Tom Murphy for wanting that opportunity. But this is now the second backup catcher that the Mariners have acquired this offseason. And if they're bringing Tom Murphy back, Zavala and who is the other one, Hunt from the Rays, make very little sense to add those guys if you're bringing Tom Murphy back. So my thought is they're probably moving on from Tom Murphy. Now, that may not be their fault. Like I said, Murphy may get a starting job somewhere. He's a good enough bat. And while not a great defensive catcher, not enough of a liability where you can't live with Tom Murphy playing every day. So I'm not going to bash the Mariners for that if that's what happens, because that could just be Murphy wanting that opportunity. But it is another possible downgrade, right? Like Zavala is not as good as Tom Murphy. He has his value, but just not anybody that's going to, he's not going to hit like Murphy. That's for sure. I like Carlos Vargas. I actually like his stuff. His fastball's averaged over 100 before. I think he's going to help this bullpen. I actually think there's a little Andres Munoz in him. So I like Vargas, and it's a shame because I think Vargas is going to kind of be not liked because people aren't going to like this trade. And that's not fair to Carlos Vargas. I think he is going to come in and help this bullpen. I think he's going to be another guy that this season, I think he will make this team. And I think he's going to be a good relief pitcher. I think you guys will like him. I like his stuff. I like the profile. I like Vargas. I absolutely love the addition to the bullpen, but that can happen in trades, right? Like we can like the return, but still not like the value of the trade. Like if the Mariners get Juan Soto, I'm going to be pumped. I'm going to love to see Juan Soto in this lineup, but I won't be happy if they're trading Ford, Young, I don't think that's what it would cost, all those guys, but Woo, Miller, and every single farm player you've got for him. That doesn't mean that Soto in the lineup isn't exciting, right? But you can still not like the trade. So I'm excited for Vargas. I do think he's going to help. So before you just rip this trade, I do think you will like Carlos Vargas, and I do think he's going to help the big league squad. Don't look at his numbers from last year. He pitched 5 innings, okay? So if you're going to come on and be like, oh, his ERA was 6, he pitched 5 innings. Don't worry about it. The profile, the stuff is legit. And I do get some Munoz vibes from him. So I think you're going to like Carlos Vargas. But again, it's a relief pitcher, and you need him. But if you're losing 4-0 in the 6th, they can't do a whole lot to help you, right? Like there's only so much a reliever can do. It's why they don't amass a ton of WAR, and stuff like that, because they're only as valuable as kind of the rest of the team allows them to be. I think there's going to be more moves. There is. But just in a vacuum, I do not like this trade. And again, here they go, oh, we're saving $9 million in payroll. And again, if you're going to do something with that, then great. If I find out tomorrow that Shohei Ohtani's a Mariner, then beautiful. That's amazing. Great job saving that money. And if you needed that money to do that, very cool. Like I'm all for that, but I can't get behind this when I don't know if that's happening or not. Right now, this is all the info I have. And right now, the team has jettisoned their starting third baseman. They've jettisoned their starting right fielder, which I'm fine with. And they've added Luis Urias. I like Luis Urias. And they've added Vargas and Zavala. So you're worse at backup catcher. That, again, that might just be something that's out of their hands right now. You're right now worse at third base, and you're worse in right field. There's a lot of offseason left. There is a ton of things left to happen. But, right now, these two trades, I shouldn't say the first trade was fine. I'm fine trading Campbell for Urias. But this trade did not make you better. So it better be leading to more stuff. And I think it will, but it absolutely has to, because if not, then it's a big fat F. Right now, it's an I. It's an incomplete because they need to do more. And I'll also point out something else too. This is not going to go over well in the clubhouse, right? This is already a clubhouse that had some issues last year. And listen, I don't care what side of it you're on, whether you want to be like, hey, the players need to suck it up and get over it, which to some extent maybe they do. Or if you're, hey, 100% behind the players, it's just they're not going to like it. This clubhouse already was frustrated last season, and now they've seen Teoscar Hernandez not be brought back and Eugenio Suarez get traded. So two guys that were, especially in Gino's case, a huge leader in the clubhouse. We saw it with Gino. Remember when Julio was getting angry? Gino was the guy that was there with them saying, hey, man, deep breaths, deep breaths. Now, listen, just because you do that doesn't mean you get a roster spot, right? Like, I'm not saying, oh, you have to keep Gino no matter what, because, hey, he's a nice guy and good clubhouse vibes. Talent wins. But Gino's a decent talent. Like, he's a good baseball player. Again, like, I don't think a superstar, and I think you can make this work, but you have traded a starting third baseman in a market where there's not a lot of third basemen out there that are available, and you don't have a prospect knocking on the door. Again, I like Luis Urias. I do. But if the plan was to acquire him to be your starting third baseman, unless you're really upgrading other spots, like I said, unless you've got Pete Alonso, Ohtani, and Soto, they don't have to do all that. But, then fine, I can deal with Urias, but you better make some upgrades in some other areas. And even Ken Rosenthal said the plan right now is for Urias to be the starting third baseman. That just may be Rosenthal looking at the roster and saying, hey, he's the third baseman based on what they've got. Or maybe he's got some sources that they want Urias to be the starting third baseman. And if that's all this was, then that's awful. That is a terrible move by this front office and this organization. Not a knock on Luis Urias. I think he can be valuable. But if that trade and then this trade was to get Urias to be your third baseman, and that's it, and that's all you're doing it for, then big thumbs down for me personally. Now, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself a bunch. They save about, I think, $9 million on this. If the goal is right now we have Urias, he can be there while we look to upgrade and go out and spend money on other positions, then okay, I can live with that. But let's see what happens next. Right now, this trade gets an I from me. The return for me is a C minus, I think, for Gino. I do like Vargas. I think he'll help. Zavala, really good defensive catcher. That has value. It does. But it's kind of underwhelming. And I'm not shocked. I didn't think Gino had a ton of trade value, but there's not a lot of third basemen out there. There's just not. And if you're going to come on and say, well, Matt Chapman, well, okay, like Matt Chapman's worse than if you thought Gino was frustrating to watch and the goal is to cut down on strikeouts, Matt Chapman ain't your answer. And I don't think it is. I don't think they're going to get Matt Chapman. But I guess we'll see. I don't like this trade. I am willing to let the offseason play out. If you're wanting me to call for jobs for people, one, I can't call for John Stanton's job in the ownership group. They're the owners. I'm going to let the offseason play out. We've had like 2 free agent signings. Nola re-signed, and then Lynn and Gibson went to St. Louis. So let's see what they do. That's why this trade's an I for me. It's an incomplete because I do want to see what the final product looks like. This doesn't mean they cannot trot out an improved team in 2024. But man, like for a front office that does not have a lot of goodwill with the fans, and I'm one of the few that have probably still had some goodwill with. In some ways, I kind of admire Jerry, Justin, and their stubbornness. They're going to do it their way. And to an extent, I do respect that they're not just going to cave in and be like, okay, we're going to do this. They're going to do it their way. We'll see what they got. We'll see what they have. And I'll be here with more breaking news. Like I said, I don't like this trade. I think there are ways it can work out if they are going to spend the money. We'll see if they do. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving. Love y'all. Take care. And again, enjoy your turkey day tomorrow with friends, family, whoever you're going to be with. Hope you guys have a great day. And thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, everybody. Go Mariners, right? We still got to root for the team. Go Mariners. Peace.